one of the best examples of Tivra Bhakti is the pastime of Dhruv Maharaj. Now, I was thinking of telling you the pastime, but then I remembered that perhaps 1986, was it? How many years ago was 1986? 37 years ago. Huh? Excuse me, it was 1982. I have been corrected. In 1982, how many years ago was that? So quite a long time ago, Jagattarini Mataji and I went to Los Angeles and made some puppet show videos. And one of them was about Dhruv Maharaj, the story of Dhruv Maharaj. So all the young ones, raise your hand if you're a young one. Okay. We're all a bit young inside, aren't we? That's a whole nother thing. How old do you feel inside? Young. Not you. How old do you feel inside? Yeah. Huh? 21 inside. How old do you feel inside? 18. Okay, so everyone can move forward to see this, but the lights have to be turned off so we can see it better. Now, you may be able to recognize Mataji's voice. I don't think I have a big part in this. This one? Okay, we have to make sure the sound's right. It was called the Gita Nagari Puppet Theater.
Once, there was a king named Uttanapada who had two wives, Suniti and Surichi. Surichi, King Uttanapada's younger wife, was the king's favorite. Suniti was not at all favored by the king. One day, Surichi's son Uttama and Suniti's son Dhruva were playing in the throne room.
Dhruva, come over here. I want to show you something really good.
That's certainly wonderful, Uttam. Let's play over here.
Their Royal Majesties, King Uttanapad and Queen Suruchi.
Father! Father, I want to come up and sit next to Uttam.
Later, Dhruva.
But I want to get up on the throne and sit with you and Uttam. Child, first deserve and then desire. Huh? Although you are the king's son, as much as my son Uttam, your great misfortune is that I am not your mother. But, my dear child, you are perhaps unaware of it, but your desire is doomed to failure. It will be impossible for you to sit on the throne because you were born of another woman. Mother Suruchi, if you really want to rise to the throne of the king, then follow this advice. First, satisfy Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when you are favored by him, then die and take your next birth in my womb. Father, you're silent and not protesting. I now know the anger a snake feels when beaten by a stick. I'm immediately leaving this palace. Dhruva, what's the matter? Have you had a fight with Uttam? No, you're trembling in great anger. What happened? Why are you so angry? And why are you crying so pitifully? Calm down and tell me what happened.
Queen Suniti, I'm sorry to have to be the one. While the king was sitting on his throne, Uttama climbed up to sit with his father. Dhruva also wanted to sit on the throne.
As the harsh words spoken to Dhruva were repeated to Suniti, her heart burned as if in a forest fire, and her bright lotus-like face filled with tears.
Dhruva, listen to me. Yes, never. My dear son, don't wish pain on others. For those who cause pain must one day themselves suffer from that very pain. But Mother Suruchi spoke so harshly to me. She made me so angry. Although it's hard to accept what Suruchi has said, it's true. If you wish to sit on the throne, give up your envy and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Will that help me sit on the throne? You've come to me, insulted by your stepmother, crying for help, but I am unable to do anything. But Krishna can help. He's so kind to his devotees, and his kindness surpasses the kindness of millions of mothers. Mother, I will take shelter of Krishna, and then I'll be able to sit on the throne. I'm leaving the palace to find Krishna. Thank you, Mother. Goodbye, Dhruva. I pray that you will place the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your heart, and thus everything will become easy and successful. It's scary out here, but I am the son of King Uttanapad, and I'm not frightened. I'll sit down and I'll do yoga and meditate, and I'm going to find God and get my kingdom, and it will be so big, so very big. It will be bigger than the whole universe.
As Dhruva began meditating,
Radhika Raman, 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 Radhika Raman. How strong is the Kshatriya spirit of this son of King Uttanapad. The boy is only 5 years old, yet harsh words from his stepmother proved unbearable to him. I want to help him, but first I'll test his determination. Dhruva!
Narada Muni,
My dear boy, you are young. You should be out playing. Why be disturbed by words insulting your honor?
O sage Narada, this may be the case with ordinary boys, but I am the son of King Uttanapad.
It's true you are the son of a great king, but still, finding God by the process of yoga is almost impossible, even for a man. Return home and try again when you grow up.
Although your instructions are good, I can't go home, for my heart is full of material desires.
Listen, instead of trying to fulfill them, keep yourself satisfied with whatever is offered by the Supreme Lord. Return home and become tolerant.
My heart has been pierced by the harsh words of my stepmother Suruchi, and nothing seems valuable to me anymore except to become king.
I can see you are truly determined.
My father is King Uttanapad, the king of the whole world, and my great-grandfather is Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. Please help me achieve a kingdom greater than either my father's or my great-grandfather's.
Your demand to have a kingdom greater than the universe is that of a playful child. Practically, it is impossible to achieve.
Yes, Narada, It is practically impossible, but with your blessings, Krishna will be pleased. And if Krishna is pleased, then I can achieve even the impossible.
All right. So immediately go to the bank of the Jamuna river in Vrindavan. Bathe in the river and become purified. Practice yoga. But while practicing, meditate on the Supreme Lord who lives in everyone's heart. And chant this mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Again.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Good. Also, construct a deity of the Lord and offer him fruits and flowers. Dhruva, follow my instructions and you will reach perfection, and you will achieve your desires. You may leave for Vrindavan.
Thank you, Sri Narada.
I think it wise to visit King Uttanapad and see how he is faring. Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman.
Why have I acted so foolishly and rejected my son? Maybe he's cold or hungry. Maybe he's been attacked by wolves or lions, alone in the forest. Because of my hard-heartedness. Dhruva, my son Dhruva, let my kingdom go to hell.
Hare Krishna.
Narada Muni.
King Uttanapad, you appear distressed. What is troubling you?
Because of my cruel behavior, my son Dhruva has left the shelter of my home.
You need not worry about it.
But he's alone in the forest. He may be hungry or hunted by wild animals. Who's there to protect him?
Great souls like your son are never unprotected.
But Dhruva is only 5 years old.
Although only 5, because of his determination to find Krishna, his mission will soon be successful. King Uttanapad, do not fear for Dhruva. It will not be long before you see your son again.
After Dhruva Maharaj arrived in Vrindavan, he began worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He first ate only fruits and berries, and then only dry grass and leaves. In the 4th month, he mastered the yogic breathing exercises, and thus breathed only once every 12 days. By the 5th month, Dhruva Maharaj was able to fully concentrate on the Supreme. As he captured the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, Dhruva became heavier than the heaviest.
What's that? The universe seems to be trembling.
What's causing it?
I don't know.
Help!
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 Maybe it's the time of destruction.
Getting worse.
What should we do?
Shiva is meditating nearby. Let's go.
Help! Shiva!
Help! Oh, greatest of the demigods, we are frightened by this universal trembling. Please, please, please.
Help!
Help! Help!
O demigods, although universal destruction is caused by me, its time is not yet here. I am not causing this shaking of the universe. Since Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and since he controls both the material and spiritual worlds, let us approach him.
Frightened and choked, the demigods took shelter of Krishna, who informed them that their distress was caused by the severe austerities of the boy devotee Dhruva Maharaj. Assuring the demigods that he would stop Dhruva and thereby save them, the Lord went to Mahavana forest in Vrindavan. As Dhruva meditated, the brilliant form of the Lord suddenly appeared. Dhruva was stunned and could not say a word. To help him, the Lord blessed Dhruva by touching his head with his conch shell.
You are the Supreme, and the creator of the material world. Foolish persons, such as myself, desire things other than your service, and thus they pray to you for useless enjoyment. Lord, worshipping and serving you is better than becoming a king. I understand that now. Please protect me, for I am your devotee.
You have completed your vows, and I shall fulfill the desire within your heart. You will rule earth for thousands of years without becoming old, and thus you will enjoy regal happiness on this planet. And when you die, you will remember me, and will attain dominion over my planet, the indestructible glowing pole star.
Alas, how foolish I was for approaching Krishna for a kingdom. Krishna can give us freedom from birth and death, and still I wanted to become a king. I was looking for glass, but by the mercy of Narada, Krishna gave me the most valuable jewel, his service. I will go home now.
When King Uttanapada heard that Dhruva was returning, he eagerly mounted his golden chariot, gathered his ministers and friends, and left his city. As his procession approached a nearby forest, the king saw Dhruva. With great haste, he dismounted his chariot and embraced his long-lost son.
Dhruva! Dhruva, you've returned! You've returned.
Please forgive me. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize, Mother. I feel no malice. Long may you live, Dhruva. Long may you live. My son. My son. I have a great hero for a son. I missed you so much, Dhruva. But at last my misery has ended, for you are coming home.
Let us now go back to the city, where the citizens are waiting to celebrate your return.
Even if a person has material desires for fame, profit, or power, he should approach only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, to satisfy his desires. Anyone who hears the narration of Dhruva Maharaj and repeatedly tries with faith and devotion to understand Dhruva's character attains pure devotional service, and by such activities he diminishes all the miseries within his life.
That is Tivra Bhakti. Anyway, it was a cute puppet show. I know. So I wanted to just make some simple points. That the verse describes a kama sava kamava. Everyone together. Moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta. So whatever one's position is, whatever one's situation is, one should worship the Supreme Lord. But the purpose of the worship of the Lord is ultimately simply to serve and love Him and develop our loving relationship with Him. It is not to get liberation. It is not to have our material desires fulfilled. We may have those desires. We do have those desires, perhaps. But as Dhruva, quoting, as he actually said, but it's from the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, he said, I'll say the English and then part of the Sanskrit, "O my Lord, because I was seeking an opulent material position, I was performing severe types of penances and severe types of austerities, working hard day and night for a boss, perhaps, or whatever our penances and austerities are. But now I have gotten you, O my Lord. Now I have gotten you, who are very difficult for the great demigods, saintly persons, and kings to attain. Then kacham vichinvan api divya ratnam. I was searching for kacham, means glass. I was looking for glass, something of no real value, but I ended up with divya ratna, a divine gem, the most divine gem. And then Swamin kritartosmin varam liyache. Now, kritartosmin, now I am fully satisfied. And I do not ask you for anything else, because now I have you. So that is the result of having Krishna. Yayap masu pasidati. And Krishna is so wonderful. He's gradually, if we even once offer a prayer, sakrideva papanastvam, sincerely, tavasmi chayachate. Even if once, sakrid, we pray sincerely, I am yours, Krishna, despite whatever else may be there in our mind, that one sincere prayer, Krishna will take us and gradually, or quickly, depending upon who we are, lead us to him. Now, having seen Krishna, Dhruva Maharaj said, as the perfect exemplar of Tivra Bhakti, so powerful, so intense, so focused, that his great material desire to have a kingdom greater than the universe, a childish desire. He got the desire, but then he saw it, this is glass, as opposed to the Divya Ratna, the most valuable jewel of you, of your association, of your service. So let us move to our next 15-minute segment, where Prabhupada will speak something about this verse. Please listen carefully. And please listen carefully. I'm going to ask you when it's over, this segment is over, what struck you, if anything struck you, or what did you find in this? And this will be for the adults too. So please listen and watch. 1972 in Los Angeles, Prabhupada speaking. Can't see. Angle.
Vasudev is giving a list that if you want this, you worship this demigod, Janti Deva Prata Devan, Pitrin Janti Pitri Prataha. But if you are intelligent, Udaradhi, very intelligent, then despite all your desires, you become Krishna conscious. You go to Krishna. Purusham Param. Who is Purusham Param? Krishna. Arjuna accept him. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, all Paramam, Supreme. Purusham, you are the Supreme Person. The same thing, Purusham Param. The Brahma Sangita, Ishara Parama, Krishna, this Param, Supreme, superlative, is Krishna in every respect. He is the Supreme Part, Purushottama, Uttama. Nobody get at that, Krishna. So, here it is recommended that even if you have got desires, all kinds of desires, there are varieties of desires. Even you want Jnana Siddhi, Yoga Siddhi, Karma Siddhi, or Dhyana Siddhi, simply go to Krishna. That's all. Jat karosi, jat juhosi, Krishna also says. Jat karosi, you want to do something. This is all activities. Either you are karmi, jnani, or yogi, there are activities. The meditation, so-called meditation, that is also another activity, mental activity. So, why it is recommended like that? They are not devotees, they are sarvakama. If they go to worship Krishna, there is facility. Just like Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, he was sarvakama. He wanted material happiness. He was insulted by his stepmother. He determined that I shall have such kingdom which even my father also did not enjoy. My father's wife has insulted me, I shall show him. This kind of determination is there, and that I shall show him. So it was sarvakama. When Narad approached Dhruva Maharaj and informed me, my dear boy, you are a prince, you are so delicate, you cannot accept these troubles of living in the jungle. It is very, very difficult. Great sages, they could not. You better go home. And when you get old, when time will be right, you can come. Now you go home. So he was a son of Kshatriya, he was so determined. He said, my dear sir, I thank you for your instruction, but I am so rascal, I cannot accept. Yes. I am Kshatriya. Your this Brahminical instruction will not be acceptable by me. So if you can give me any mantra by which I can see the Supreme Lord, just talk of that. I want to see. Yes. Then Narada Muni saw he is so determined, he is not going back. They gave him Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chant this. And he saw Krishna, Vishnu, within 6 months, was so determined. But when Krishna offered him, now you ask me whatever you like, you can take from me. You have undergone so much severe austerities, you can take. So you are sorry. Now, Samin Kritarthosmi Barangana Jache. My dear Lord, I have no more any desire. I don't want anything. I want everything. Not only everything, more than everything. I have seen you. So I don't want anything. This chance is there. Even with your karma, desires, you execute devotional service, make connection with the Supreme Lord. A time will come, you will become akama, namo. A time will come. Therefore it is recommended. Not that Sarvakama goes to Krishna and simply bothers him, give me this, give me this. No. Let him talk like that, give me this, give me that. Krishna will see to that. But by devotional service, if he comes in contact with Krishna seriously, then time will come, he will become akama. Therefore it is recommended. Not that it is advised that you go to Krishna and ask all nonsense from him. That is not pure devotion. Pure devotion is akam. Nothing. Nadanangna janangna sundaring kavidang. So it is recommended here only that a devotee, even he is foolish in the beginning, to ask from Krishna all material facilities, still when he is engaged in devotion, when he comes to the perfectional state, or when he comes in contact with the pure devotee, he gives us all this nonsense. And as a pure devotee, he simply engages himself without any return, without any profit in the service of the Lord. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Or what struck you in that? What struck you in that? Raise your hand though, please. Yes. What's your name? I'm sorry.
On? Yeah, it's on. Hare Krishna.
What's your name, please?
Pavitra Kirti Das.
Okay, thank you.
A point
what struck you?
Srila Prabhupada was saying that you cannot, because Dhruva Maharaj was Kshatriya, and Narada Muni's instructions were that to like a Brahmana. So you're saying that you sort of have to instruct someone according to their nature to help them progress towards Lord Krishna. So I thought that was really nice, that point he made.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? What struck you? Yes, we have to. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Yamuna Jivan Das here. What struck me, the point is that Prabhupada is saying that although today you might be sarvakamaha, you might be full of desires, but when you approach Krishna and when you practice devotional service, one day you will become a kama. So that's a hope.
The hope. Thank you. Anyone else? What struck you? It
didn't really struck me. I just want to ask a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Where
are you? I can't find you.
Right here.
Where? Oh, yes. You!
How come Prabhupada ended up being such a big devotee?
Okay, is that your question?
Yes.
How did Prabhupada become such a big devotee? I heard him answer this question, but not, here's how I became such a big devotee. He didn't answer that question. But he was talking about, he was upset about something, I don't know what it was, but he was speaking about one of his godbrothers without mentioning his name, and he said that if you want bricks and mortars, then Krishna will give you that. But if you want to serve, if you're listening, yes. If you want to serve, Krishna will give you that. He will give you service. So there is the key. What we want, yayatamam papadyante, Krishna will reciprocate and give us what we want. But if we really, really want to serve him out of great love and devotion, he will give himself to his devotee. So Prabhupada became such a powerful, wonderful devotee because of his very deep desire to serve his Guru Maharaj, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. Did anyone else, or does anyone else have a question? We'll have time to discuss all the way. No, you already spoke once, but if there's someone else, anything struck you? Yes. Even before the microphone gets there, because it may take a little time. When you're in school, little one, little flower. When you're in school, do you ask a lot of questions too? Yeah. This is like a class, yes? A school class.
Hare Krishna, Bhurijana Prabhu. In the part 2, you had mentioned that when we were talking about the Akam,
there'll be time for more questions in general after. But is there anything in what Prabhupada said that struck you?
Not from here, not this one.
Okay. How about it when he said, if you have any other nonsense desires, after giving us, okay, whatever it is you approach Krishna, okay. Then he just said nonsense desires about that. That struck me. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
But we'll get you after to ask your question. Yes.
Okay. The first sentence that Prabhupada spoke, that if you're intelligent, then in spite of all the desires, we will take up to Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
So I see here like we can control our mind by using our intelligence. So that's a very difficult task. So the first sentence that Prabhupada spoke struck me a lot. And also Dhruva Maharaj's determination. So even if we use our intelligence, but if we're not determined and serious, so it's very hard to take up this process.
Now, what makes a person determined?
It's again the desire here, as we see with Dhruva Maharaj.
Do you have children?
Yes, Maharaj.
How many?
1.
How old?
12.
Where is he?
Sitting.
Yeah. Are you determined to take care of him?
Yes, to an extent.
To an extent. Have you been naughty again? I've told this many times, but once in Vrindavan, there was this one young girl I saw. She was carrying a bag of bananas that was transparent. Now, if you ever want to ask for trouble in Vrindavan, carry a bag of bananas that in a transparent bag. Because you are not the only one who likes bananas, but monkeys also really like bananas. So I saw she was standing there in front of the place where we were having the retreat. This little girl, she was maybe 10, 11 or 12, with a bag of bananas, and this big bull monkey walked over to her and grabbed the bananas in the bag. And her mother was nearby, say about over where Sri Radharama Prabhu is, and she was sitting here, standing there. And she started screaming, as one would naturally do. And her mother ran over to that monkey with a stick so ferociously that big, strong monkey who's not afraid of anything ran so fast. So what's the point of that story? You say to some degree, but if there was some trouble your boy was in, you'd pick up a big stick and you'd risk your life in a moment because of love. And based out of love, the desire is there. So we want to develop our love for Krishna, then everything will come naturally. If we say, from now on I'm going to be determined, from now on I'm going to be intelligent, from now on this, from now on that, it doesn't work in the same way. That's helpful, certainly. We try our best. But attraction to Krishna is what is really powerful. So how to gain the attraction for Krishna, that we shall discuss, and we're discussing it now in one sense. But that's what we really want, to gain attraction for Krishna's service. Just one thing I'll say right now. You go in front of Radha Ballava, you go in front of Sisi Gaunita, you go in front of Jagannath Baldev Subhadev, you go in front of Srila Prabhupada and express your emptiness. I have no attraction for service. And of course, to say that, we have to have some, but I have nothing, but I have attraction for so many other things. Please be merciful to me. Please be merciful to me. But I remember also, once I was in Jagannath Puri. So Bhadradevi, you have to listen especially now. Once I was in Jagannath Puri, and I stood in front of Petit Pavan Jagannath, in front of the Singadora. And I took off my shoes, as everyone does, and I offered prayers. And I said, "Oh Lord Jagannath, Petit Pavan Jagannath, I've been chanting for so long. Please do whatever you have to do to make me into a real devotee." And then I thought, oh no, what did I just pray? Very dangerous prayer. But actually he heard, and in a few minutes, our Gaurnatai were in my hands. Within 15 minutes, the Gaurnatai were in my hands, unexpectedly, made out of the wood from Sudarshan Chakra, from the Navaklevaram in 1996. Okay, any last question? Yes, Prabhu. What's your name? Smith. S-M-I-T. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One thing that struck me is that there should be strong determination, but at the same time, that determination has to be guided by a devotee, so that can guide direction to the Krishna somehow. Hare Krishna.
But isn't it a wonderful point? But isn't it interesting that if we're determined, like Dhruva was determined, that attracted Narada Muni?
Yes.
So which comes first? It's hard to say. We should just, yeah.
Mercy.
But was it Dhruva's mercy that made him so determined? Was a slap? But he was determined for what?
To get big kingdom.
But what, and where did he go?
In the forest.
And not only did he go to the forest, why was he in the forest? Not only lions and tigers.
To go to Krishna and ask for the...
So he was going to Krishna somehow or another, and that was his determination. And that determination attracted Narada Muni's mercy. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would read this pastime and the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj hundreds of times, and tears would pour from his eyes, showing us to pray for that kind of determination, because despite what else may be in our mind, if we are determined to go to Krishna, then Tivrena, Bhakti Yogini, Adlaita Purusapa, then all will occur. So much mercy will come our way. Do you believe me?
Yes, 100%.
That's the wonderful thing about giving class, because it has to come from your mouth. My mouth. Yeah. But the mind has a tendency. And therefore the conclusion is that we have to hear and hear and hear and listen to the Bhagvatam. See the deities. Keep close to the process. Serve. Keep close to the process. Okay, that was the last question, so we'll have one more. And then we'll move to the next phase. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
One of the nice points that I found is Prabhupada says that devotee, maybe he may feel foolish in the start, he may feel foolish, but as he progresses, he definitely finds. That's what he is explaining about Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. So that foolishness is nothing but during the practice, we also tend to have a lot of material desires mixed with thinking that is bhakti. So that becomes lakama sarva kamava. So in that way, Prabhupada was nicely explaining that one fine day he's definitely will get purified through the process, because process is perfect.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. We'll have, now what we should do is, Yeah, I wanted to read what my conclusion was on this, and then we'll have some group discussion. Here's my conclusion. Whoever we are, whatever we desire, whatever our condition is, join and stay on the path of bhakti. And let us move further towards the goal of prema bhakti by becoming strongly fixed in the process of hearing, chanting, which includes preaching and associating through service with devotees. Yet, we should keep the goal in mind and, under guidance, as Prabhu said, stay sheltered on the path of devotional service to Krishna and protect your desire. Protect your desire to be with Krishna in Vrindavan, however small or great that desire it is, for it is your great wealth. Practically, that is your greatest wealth, and practically speaking, that is one's only wealth of true value. Okay, now for some minutes, just break into small groups of 6 or 5 or 7 people and just discussing whatever it is that we discussed today, what questions you have, and what struck you and what was interesting to you, what was boring for you. Small groups, go ahead. Just 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, you ring it. It's time for all the cows to come home. Whenever I need any help, I know what to ask. Hare Krishna. So now, in the remaining time until prasadam is ready, or some of the time at least, there's time for questions. But if there's any questions that are, it's good to have real questions, not just theoretical questions, but something that you really, really would like to know the answer to. Do you have such a question? And who's got the microphones going around? Okay, without any commitment, who, raise your hand and let me know. I mean, not that I'll call on you at this point. If you have a real question that you would really like to ask someone about your life and about Krishna consciousness, this is no commitment to ask it now or anything like that, because this is public and everything. Raise your hand if you have a real question that you'd like to. But raise it so I could see. Yeah. Okay. There's some people, the people in the back are maybe afraid that I may call on them unexpectedly or something. Jagattarini, do you have a real question? Sort of. I wasn't going to call on you, I just wanted to know. How can I take sannyas? You. No, dear, I don't want you to take sannyas. Okay, does anyone have a question that they would like to ask in this public forum, based on maybe something that they've heard today or in general even? Raise your hand. Yes, there's a sincere question. Hare Krishna. So happy to see you. But should we wait for the microphone to appear?
Thanks, Maharaj. In our group, we actually just wanted to discuss the same question that you posed, and your realization was struck a few of us as well. about the apparent contradiction between saying you can go with material desires, but don't ask for nonsense things, which we thought, but material desires are generally quite nonsense things in the scheme of things. But yeah, what's the solution to that?
Give me a moment, please. Be sincere and just ask from the platform you are. You're actually honestly on. But turn to Krishna. Turn to Krishna. But turning to Krishna has its danger, one could say, is because you're placing yourself in his hands to some degree. So we want him to fulfill our desire, perhaps, in the way that we want him to fulfill the desire. But Krishna is the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he does what he wants. But he will give you what you want, but he will do it in such a way that that desire no longer will be an impediment for you moving towards him, or he will remove it. Oh Lord, oh Krishna, I've been told to come to you even though my desires are petty, small, as Prabhupada said. Prabhupada is so cutting nonsense, because we can look at our material desires and then in the face of eternity they seem so nonsense. If we took our life, the movie of our life from birth to the end, and say if the movie would in real time would be 80 years, and if we sped it up till 4 minutes, the whole thing, how significant would our successes be, and how significant would our failures be? And when we think about how many people remember we even existed in 50 years, there'll be a few, our beloved children or their grandchildren. But then how about 100 years? How about 200 years? How about 1,000 years? 10,000 years? 100,000 years? So we can see easily that our desires for the temporary are in fact foolish, nonsensical. But yet they're there, and we can't make believe we're not there. And a difference between the culture that Prabhupada was really speaking from, the whole culture, and the culture in which we live in, is that the culture of the old Vedic culture saw everything from the perspective of eternity and the eternality of the soul. So it depends on your perspective how valuable or invaluable things are. The little children, when they're playing in a sandbox, and one has the shovel and the other one wants the shovel, and it's so significant, and the parents just look on and say, no, here's another shovel, just be peaceful, and it's okay, or distract them. Look over here, look over here, look at that, look at that. So the Vedic culture really had that perspective on our life, and it also was based on the eternality. It was based on the fact that we're eternal, and we transmigrate, change bodies one after the next. And I would say the Western culture has a completely different perspective. So we have to ask, what is my perspective on life? And while we still have these these desires, perhaps, and we turn to Krishna for them, it should be with all humility. And then maybe we'll ask, maybe as you fulfill the desire or neglect it, please be a little gentle with me, because I don't have very much capacity for, but very open-hearted and honest. That's relationship. Usually in our relationships, it's only with the people we are most intimate with, the people who we know love us the most and trust us and we love the most, but we really tell them everything. And maybe there's no one in the whole world will tell everything, because we're afraid if we tell everything, no one will ever talk to us again or something like that. But with Krishna, we should be open and sincere and honest. And we should be open and sincere and honest. Even though we can see ourselves sometimes like little children fighting over or desiring to make a sandcastle that's bigger than the next person's sandcastle or something like that. But what to do? This is what I am. And then another point in this, which I think is a very practical point, is that let me at least use it in Krishna's service. And let me know, whatever it is, whatever our desire it is, become king, become the ruler become Lord Brahma, become Ambani, become whatever. Don't become Advani. He went down, didn't he? Just recently, that one. But it's just a succession of names ultimately. But use it in Krishna's service. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we should sakama. We should give something to Krishna. Better than that is giving everything to Krishna, and better than that is doing what Krishna wants. So there's a succession, but we shouldn't make believe we're more than we are. But yet sometimes Krishna will push us to be more than we are. And sometimes Krishna is pushing us to be more than we are. And we try to be the best we can to please Krishna. Yeah, this is such an interesting topic, actually. Yeah, such an interesting question. Thank you for you and your group. At least I addressed it. I don't think I quite answered it. I don't know if you have to be fire to approach fire. But how do you become fire when you're not fire? So the way is to use the best we can do in one sense is use everything that Krishna has given us. Everything, see it as a gift. Don't think it's yours by inheritance. It's a gift, and gifts can be, as they come like that, they can be taken like that. So we should be always, some humility should be there. And that's another element of every old culture, including the Veda culture. There's some sense of perspective of time, of some humility is there. In the current culture, as Prabhupada would often say, so-called culture, it's like when something goes wrong, people, what? So entitled, feeling that everything should go right and the world is meant for me to achieve what I want, and surprised when things go wrong. And in old cultures, it's sort of the opposite. You're sort of surprised when things go right. Yeah, so that going right is Krishna's mercy. And then, as we shall hear later, going wrong is also Krishna's mercy. And if you can really see like that, Jivatiyo Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhak, you're already home. So humility, sincerity, honesty, approaching Krishna as a trusted, most trusted person. You know, I've had this experience. I won't tell details because it's too me and private. But things that I was thinking when I first started chanting, later on, Krishna gave me, and they were such nonsense, ridiculous, conditioned, wanting attention type of things, and feeling very. Then later on, when I'm more adulty, more mature, thinking, you know, how foolish. But at that time, I couldn't see it, and it was too much in my consciousness. But what could I do? You can't. It's the rare small child who acts like an adult. Sometimes, like Śrīpad Shankaracharya took sannyas at 8 or something like that. He knew the world for what it was. Yeah. But it's a very interesting question. And one other element that is, for something like that, when it comes really to something personal, well, how should I act in this circumstance? Then you have to go to a doctor. You can't just hear the general instructions and prescribe for yourself. Then you go to the doctor and he goes, this is the medicine that's best for you at this point in your life. Because what we don't want is to go like this, yes, and then boom, and flip back with so much trauma in our system that it will take us births to recover and try again. So in general, slow and steady is the best way to go. But you should, once you keep one's mind on the goal, just like when you drove here, if you didn't have your Google Maps open, or even if you did, your consciousness is on the road, but a little bit ahead. But you really always know where you're going to, where you're trying to achieve, where you're trying to get to. You keep your mind always a little bit ahead when you're driving, not on the exact patch of land that you're driving over, unless it's a very dangerous, icy path or something. But we keep the goal in mind. We keep the goal in mind. Hare Krishna. Any follow-up question to that from your group? Yes. One question is, because what we don't want is to go like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then like this, or even just like this and like this. But sometimes Krishna, we think my capacity is here, but Krishna will push us because he sees something in us that maybe we don't see. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for being here. The question is, what is the difference between being tolerant and determined in the case of Dhruva Maharaj? Here we see that Narada Muni, he advised him that you just become tolerant and just go home. It's quite understandable that your mother said something like this, but just be tolerant. But then instead it shows that he was determined.
And that's glorified.
Yes, and that's glorified. So what's the difference being tolerant? And
well, let me ask you, what did Narada say?
Sorry, I'm not getting...
What did Narada Muni say to Dhruva after he told him to be tolerant?
What did Narada Muni say to Dhruva?
Yeah.
After?
After he told him to be tolerant, he instructed him to be tolerant.
And then when he didn't listen, then he said, well, I see you are determined.
You are so determined.
You are so, yes.
You are so determined. You have, what is the Bhagavad Gita verse about Kshatriya's determination? What's the Sanskrit? Huh? What's the whole verse about Kshatriya karmas? I also. Samodavasto, that's the Brahmin karma. Yeah. Okay, but one of the qualities of a Kshatriya is determination. So he really had that ability to do it. So what he did was point him in the direction that his determination would bring him the ultimate fruit of love for Krishna. If he would have been tolerant by nature, he would have pointed him in the direction that that tolerance would have brought him the ultimate fruit. This is the benefit of having an exalted teacher. But the point being that if your determination is strong, even if your desires aren't perfect, if your determination is strong in your shelter of Krishna, then all perfection will occur. So determination is very important. Is that okay? Or?
Yes, thank you. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So you want to know whether you should be determined or tolerant, or it should be determined to be tolerant?
Yes, you are speaking my heart, yes.
Well, it depends on the situation. If you're trying to cross the street in Bombay, in the traffic, if you're tolerant, you'll never get across. You have to be determined.
Thank you.
What to speak of Bangalore? But Bangalore is easier because there's so much traffic, it's stopped all the time. So you can just easily walk across. Yes, who had a question over here? Yes. And then if there's a Mataji who has a question, we'll ask one of the Matajis after, right after. Yes.
Like Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, Hare Krishna. When Dhruv Maharaj went to the jungle, and Narad Maharaj came and guided him. Same with us when we come to temple or came to retreat today. Our mind is so determined. But when we go back to our normal like job and other things, our mind run after all the material things. So how can we, in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, like 24/7, rather than when we go to the temple? Then after that, after a few days, yes, we still determine, but after that, it's just...
Yeah, we'll address that in the last class, if that's all right, that question.
I just came today, sorry.
Huh?
I came today.
You want me to tell you?
Can we do that tomorrow?
That's tomorrow. Will you be here tomorrow?
Okay.
He's going to answer tomorrow.
Are you going to go or you're going to stay?
Yeah, I'm staying probably.
Okay. Yeah. Can you wait till tomorrow?
Yes, probably.
Okay. But if I forget to answer the question, then my class will have failed. But so you would please remind me, okay, in case I forget.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. So you became tolerant instead of determined. Very good. Thank you. Because otherwise, if I tell you the surprise ending, everyone will go home now. But there's no big surprise, actually. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, in context of Kama Sarva Kama Valo, like, Prabhupada was saying that even with all nonsense desires, it's okay to approach Krishna and then Krishna will purify and, when somebody will become a Kama eventually. How do we distinguish between Sarva Kama and conditioning? Like some conditioning we might have from our, years before Krishna consciousness, and they might not be exactly desires, but overcoming those conditionings to then come to a Kama platform. How do we distinguish and what's the process to get purified of the conditioning?
Yeah, I also sometimes have that very same question. It's not like you have some material desire, but it's not really that you want to fulfill it, but it's just like a habit from this life or previous lives, some purva sanskaras, previous sanskaras. So one thing I've seen is that is that when you're in that situation, you say, whatever I did to cause me to have that desire, I don't want to do it again. So and then it's not that it's just removed magically by that or that conditioning, but this is prarabdha karma, the karma that we come into life with. But Krishna in Jnana Yoga, the prarabdha karma isn't removed. But in bhakti, it is. It's adjusted. And that's partially the subject of this afternoon's class, how really we're in Krishna's hands. And how, I once saw in Melbourne in 1975, someone asked the question, and this is what I think the real answer to the question is. Someone asked Prabhupada, a person that I never saw before, he obviously had, because people from all over Australia used to come to see Prabhupada, and he wasn't a temple devotee, it didn't look like. But he asked Prabhupada, what happens if a Brahmana falls down, meaning one of the devotees who had Brahman initiation? Isn't it better, and he comes back, isn't it better to engage him in some menial service like washing pots rather than to re-engage him in his brahminical duties? So he had something in his mind about someone, but it was a bold and somewhat challenging question to ask Prabhupada, especially in front of everyone. And Prabhupada answered that it's not up to you to decide a person's guilt or innocence. It's up to the spiritual master to decide. There may have been a little more, he said, but that was the essence. So we have our prarabdha karma, we have our conditioning, and if we really try our best and don't do as well as we think we could have done or whatever, we shouldn't give ourselves terrible time over it. We just be humble and try our best and keep trying. And it's up to Krishna, Guru and Krishna, how we're dealt with ultimately. What do you think of that?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Is that reassuring?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's not, Krishna consciousness is not, it's not like mechanical. Like, it's not, for devotees, it's not mechanical. We're dealing with a person. If we're Mayavadis and personalists, we deal with something impersonal, we're dealing with nothing basically, and we get nothing back. Perfect reciprocation. But we're dealing with a person. And although when we look at the person only as the creator, in his relationship with the material world, it appears that he's very strong and he's harsh and everyone's going to die and on and on and on, and there's earthquakes and terrible diseases, on and on and on and on. When we look at it just from that material point of view of who God is, then he's not very appealing in a sense. He's just a very fearful personality. You better do the right thing, otherwise a piano's going to drop on your head or something like that, and who knows what. But Krishna is actually very soft and very kind. I've been reading that again and again and again and again. He's very kind. The laws of material nature that act harshly and are reciprocation with the improper activities of the souls of this world. But Krishna is very kind, and he deals kindly with his devotees. What do you think? If we trust that, and we need to trust that, I mean, not in the sense that we don't have a choice, but as life goes on and as we get older, if we don't trust that, we're going to be in continuous tremendous fear and anxiety. So how does one get that kind of trust? That is the subject of the third class, which we hint at probably in the second class this afternoon. And that's what life is about, how to advance. How to fall in love with that Supreme Person. Okay?
Thank you.
How's the prasadam situation? We can't put you off again. Yes, Prabhu. Is this your question now? Is this? Yes.
I'll probably speak of Mataji. We hear a lot about desires, material world, always these words come. And I've got a simple question. What is the definition of a desire? Because we come here to this, and then we have to pay for the rooms, we have to put petrol in the car, go home, there's groceries, interest rates rising, we have to service the mortgage. So where is the limit? How do we define? Where is the border? What is desire and what's not?
You mean what's selfish and what's not selfish? Is that what? No, it's a real question.
In desire and material worlds. And if you could please define those two terms for us. What is a desire and what is a material world? What it is and what it is not.
I may not be able to answer it just the way you asked it, but desire, if we want to, like Prabhupada, one time I said to Prabhupada, there was some discussion about something, and Prabhupada said about money. And I said, we're not interested in money. And he got so angry at me, as would like any temple president, probably. He got so upset with me. And because he knew that without money, without men in this world, you cannot affect the world, practically. And the world was so much in need of being affected. Because it was heading, he saw more than we could see in those days, how strange and peculiar and dangerous the world was. So he knew that. So he saw everything in this world as Krishna's. The money, the this, the that. He even once said that and I actually saw a picture like this. There was a picture of one so-called Indian sadhu. When they're offering him money, he goes like this. And then Prabhupada said, you can take a picture of me, they're offering money, and I'll say, bring more. But nothing was selfish in that. He saw everything belonged to Krishna. And to use everything in Krishna's service, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya Uchate, was how everything could be used in Krishna's service, was the vision and the great contribution of his Guru Maharaj, the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he didn't see that distinction between material means and desire means for me, and anything else is for Krishna or something like that. So applied to us as individuals, if we, and I'll speak about this in the last class, is that we want to organize our life in such a way that it is all in harmony with our developing love for Krishna. And then the so-called material things we do will have a spiritual purpose. So then it comes to the subtle question of, I say I'm doing it for Krishna, but I want to get some percentage for me, at least some fame for everyone to say, oh, Bhurijana, you gave such a nice class. And then I say, no. At least some recognition, at least some... So for that question, we'll leave it between you and Krishna. What do you really want? So I say I'm running my life in the service of Krishna. That's between you and Krishna. And if you're 10%, I want something from it, my cut, so to speak, then Krishna will figure out how to deal with such a person. If it's 1%, upasakagan, lava puja pratishtadi yata upasakagan. There's such a tendency to want something. But Krishna is not purchased by someone who is serving, who wants something from him, because that's how we started this class. Vrindavan is such a place that you simply don't fit in unless you only are concerned with love of Krishna. So we have to work out, now we want 60% for me, 40% for Krishna, maybe. At least something, or maybe it's 90% for me and 10% for Krishna, or 99% for me, but we want to shift it. And then when we're on that level, and this will be spoken about in the final class, then we think the fear is, if I do everything for Krishna, who will take care of me? And we have to be able to answer that question honestly. And we see, there was one of Prabhupada told of one of his godbrothers, who was a university professor, and he would give his whole check every 2 weeks or a month to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He wanted that mood. And then his wife would come to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and he'd give her money. And when the devotee said, I heard this is true, said it to Prabhupada, that she would have to come and beg from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for the maintenance money, Prabhupada replied, she did not have to beg. He would give her whatever they needed. He was happy, she was happy, and the Guru was happy, who was such an exalted soul. But we can't imitate. But we have to see the limitation of have to keep the goal in mind and see the limitation of our limited desires, our lack of faith, we should see it, should be honest. To ourselves at least. Maybe we don't want to advertise it. But at least we should have honesty between us and Krishna. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Okay, I think it's almost time for everyone's favorite song, Sarira Vidyajal. Thank you very much. So what time do we meet this afternoon? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare. Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta ki jai.